Yes, people. I had to give the people what they want. Evie hasn't been on for a while. You're right. To be fair, no one has really, apart from the scouting report. It's been very much just me and in my solitude. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have Evie on with me as well. I can confirm it was me doing my makeup as well, not Evie. It was me just putting some more tinted moisturizer on or something like that. But yeah, a lot of love for Evie in the chat, which is great to see. We don't really have an agenda, folks. We're just going to talk shop. We're going to talk Leeds United, the summer, thoughts for the season ahead, what we're nervous about, what we're excited about, maybe some player transfers in there as well. And please do get your questions in as well, and I'll save them. And we'll ask them at the end. But Evie, first and foremost, how are you? How's things? Do I tell people you were in Well, I've already have, haven't I? You were in Manchester.
Yeah, I was in Manchester. Yeah, it was great. We were did a little bit of shopping at the Trafford Centre. Nice. I decided to not wear my Leeds shirt, but I did give a couple of brave lads who were wearing them a little mini Leeds salute. Yeah. So
do you know what? Just to jump in on that, at the football training yesterday, Oscar's there. He's got his yellow Leeds shirt on. I had a look and I could see Neymar on. I said, "Have you got a Neymar shirt on under there?" And he went, "Mate, I didn't want to wear my Leeds one in Manchester, so I brought it with me to switch into." I was like,
that's next level kind of thing. I feel like maybe I need to buy a neutral team so that I can, maybe a bit of York City, because they're probably my local club. So but no, just did a little bit of shopping. It was nice. Went into one of those sports memorabilia places, and I did actually manage to find some Leeds stuff. Obviously it was all scum territory, but it was you had to literally go behind the tills. They kept it really hidden. I was like, oh, so obviously I moved it a little bit to just bring it forward a little bit. You have to do that when you go to Manchester.
Yeah, for sure. You have to, of course. The city's blue anyway, innit? When you say that, the city's blue anyway.
The city's beige because Man City weren't even at it last year either. So they don't even know what they are.
Yeah, that's very true, definitely. Right. So other than that, anything else going on that you've enjoyed? Have you had anything going on since the summer break that we're having?
Bit peace and quiet, to be honest. It's just been
You're
quite.
Missing it though, Evie? Have you started to miss
it? It was nice. Obviously, the celebrations were just incredible. It put an extra kind of I'm not a huge cherry fan, so strawberries on top of the cake when, we obviously won the title on the final day, and all the celebrations were absolutely amazing. I was envious of everybody who was lucky enough to be there. I know you were there and everything. So it looked incredible. And, watching all of the different, everybody's kind of vlogs and things, and even watching kind of opposition fans and stuff like that, and watching all the sly digs come in from people on social media, oh, Leeds are back kind of thing. And I don't know, you just get that little excitement, we're back. And we've probably, I kind of wish that the 49ers had been at the helm last time, because I don't think we'd have gone out last time if things had been done correctly. I think Bielsa would have had the backing. But I am happy in terms of the fact of this is Farke's time to shine type of thing. So once all that kind of excitement had died down, I was like, right, I'm ready for a break now. My emotions need to get back in check, because it's quite I love Leeds, but it's mentally draining sometimes, the ups and the downs. Even especially when after
regularly, you come on here regularly, it is mentally draining. It is.
It's a bizarre thing, and I think Michael Normanton from the Square Ball often says it bang on in the fact of football. You spend 90% of the time waiting for it to finish, and then you then enjoy it once it's over, type of thing. Which is why I was adamant that I was going to enjoy last season, because obviously the goal was to get up.
Yeah.
And the likelihood, regardless of how much we want to romanticize it and how much we could do a 2021 season and surprise everybody, the reality is probably we're going to lose a lot of games. Even if we stay up comfortably in the end, we still lost a lot of games in that first season, regardless of being ninth. It's just one of those things that you do have to enjoy it. And this season is going to be difficult. So I just wanted to enjoy that bubble and the celebrations. And then, after that, I started to get a bit bored because I was like, I just want it back because the Club World Cup is just not it. It's just not it.
I know I've tried. I will go back and do some games when it gets to knockout, but yeah, it's just not it, is it? Like you say, I have tried, but it's been tough. Well, to start, because we did, because someone did ask a question, as I say, folks, get some questions in. What's Evie's thoughts on the first 5 fixtures? I will go on to Leeds Twitter now because I can only remember the first fixture, but thankfully Leeds have given us a nice little graphic on Twitter, so I'll just put that on the screen as well. What do you make to that opening 5? Me personally, Evie, I don't think it's that bad. By Arsenal and Newcastle, we should be aiming to try get points, I think.
I don't even see why we couldn't get points off Arsenal because, in all honesty, Arsenal haven't done it for the last 3 seasons, and they've had 3 of the easiest seasons that they could have possibly had to win it. And I think there's going to be a lot of chomping at the bit in those first few games for Arteta, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was gone by Christmas, if he's not in that title race from the get-go. So I think that if we come out just with, like we did under Bielsa, that no fear attitude, I can see us. I'm not saying we're going to win. I'm not saying that at all. But I can see us challenging. I don't see a thrashing. And that's going to come back to bite me on the backside. I know, but right. So the first game, the Everton game, right? Oh God, this
very
sounds
winnable, isn't it?
It sounds so struck up though, because I was very underwhelmed with it being Everton. Like, other than you take the Jack Harrison derby out of the equation, and I just don't. I just wanted something more exciting. I wanted Liverpool, or I wanted Man U, or I wouldn't have minded having Arsenal on the opening day of the season. I just wanted something a little bit more exciting because I can see a draw, if I'm being honest.
In the first one,
yeah, I can.
I think what helps.
Moyes is a good manager, regardless of his style. I don't particularly like. It's not the most entertaining, but it depends where we are in terms of signings, bedding in. It depends, who we've got through the door, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that game's going to be a bit underwhelming. I really hope I'm wrong, and I really hope it's wrong to our benefit. But
with it being a Monday night, Evie, if we waited all weekend, got so excited, and then we're beaten, it'd be like, oh no.
No. I mean, it is at Elland Road, and I do think that regardless, I don't know, I just quite want to know one way or another where Jack Harrison is at that point. I hope he's not here.
Let's talk about that then. So we don't know yet. Obviously, the players are back on the 7th of July. So we'll have an idea at that point. I don't know if he gets extra time off with him. They finished a week after us, but probably not. 7th of July. You'd expect them to be back. With Solomon not coming back now, it would seem, because he wants to stay at Tottenham and Thomas Frank wants to get a look at him. They still might get rid, but Leeds United, you would imagine at that point, you would hope anyway, we've gone on to another target if we are bringing them in, because we need them in as quick as possible, really. But because there's no noise around a winger, because we keep getting linked to strikers, we're linked to midfielders, left backs, there's no talk really of a winger. Do you not think there's a place for him?
No.
No. You know me,
No.
I'm in the camp of I don't mind it, but I know the majority of the fan base don't want it. I know I'm on my own in this.
Right. Treat Jack Harrison as a new signing, right? So forget the history. You know, people like to come out with, oh, well, he's Prem proven. Look at his stats for the last 2 seasons. If we were buying him, I know he's our player, so therefore we're only paying wages. We're not paying for him, but just get rid of that. Imagine we were signing him. Nobody would be happy about signing him. So taking the emotion out of it, Jack Harrison would be an incredibly underwhelming person to have back at Elland Road. So, and then you add in the emotional baggage. He's just, no, like, absolutely not. It's, you know, if we're going to say that we don't want Phillips back, and again, I loved Phillips, but I don't want him back. Why on earth? Phillips never did anything wrong to us. We needed that money, regardless of people saying he could have stayed, he could have stayed. We needed that money. Clearly, we needed that money because we still need that money now. So if he hadn't have gone when he did and his career had have carried on going down, we'd be in even worse crap than we are, you know, in terms of, you know, if we'd have gone down, if we hadn't have got that money and the Rafinha money, goodness knows we probably wouldn't be back in the Premier League by now. So if you take the emotion out of the Jack Harrison, it's a very underwhelming signing. The same people that don't want that, what's he called? The striker.
Who we've just signed?
Yeah.
It's silent N, so it's Metcha.
Right. Metcha. So people are like, oh, and you know, we've got him for free, but he's injury prone and this, that, and the other. But his stats are still better than Jack Harrison's. So
I do.
You know, and he's not exactly. It's a 2-year deal, and he's not exactly going to be on world beater wages, whereas Jack Harrison will be.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
Yeah.
Look, when people talk about like sentimentality or emotions and stuff, I hear it. Unfortunately, the way that I struggle to take that out of it. I can't, but I hear what you're saying.
No, but that's a good thing. If we don't have emotion in football, then it is
exactly,
you know, 22 men kicking a bag of wind around. You know, like you've got to have the emotion in that.
I'm definitely on the thing of like I don't see a place for Calvin anymore, which makes me sad. But with the players that we're linked with, I totally get that and I totally understand it. But I think
I don't mind the silence either, because I know you mentioned about the silence about wingers.
Yes.
We move in silence. We've seen that for the last 2, 4 transfer windows. So we move in silence. We know that. So just because we're not hearing any murmurings doesn't mean there's not murmurings going on behind the scene. And maybe all of a sudden we get somebody in and we hear 24 hours before we sign him. Because I hope it's not another Bijol. Yeah. Because I mean,
I think it's going to be Monday, isn't it?
Like, Jesus Christ, this is like the most, I don't know, we've kind of hit that peak of been like, yes, good centre back.
So when he's announced now, we're like,
so cool, right, next one. We need, we need a double announcement, to be honest, now, but yeah, Jack Harrison, I don't want him back. Is for the same people who be like, oh, we could keep Harrison, are the same ones that don't want Aronson. And Aronson was much better for us than Jack Harrison was for Everton last season. And I know it's a different league. I get that. I am completely aware of that. But he still helped us gain something. They just moved away from relegation. They didn't do anything else other than be better than Man U and Tottenham.
This is true. What have you made then to the summer so far? Because I've been like, this is a really different, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking like. Emotion for me, I guess, is during the transfer window this time, because the last couple I've been quite questioning and very suspicious and very angry. A lot of that because we've lost players that I've liked in Rutter and in Gray, in Somerville, and then it's been. When the players were brought in, some I was not happy with. And obviously, I say not happy, but I didn't rate the Rothwell one, etc. And obviously, it's proved to be wrong. And the lack of business in January, although I still feel we should have got someone, it turned out okay. Like, I'm quite chill. Like, when people say, oh, where's the keeper chat? Where's this? Where's that? I go, do you know what? I have every faith now, because the 49ers have shown me in transfer windows, especially in the summer, they get it right. I'm really calm about it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay kind of zen about it, which is why obviously the lack of chat about wingers and things like that. And right, so a bit of a obscure opinion maybe, but I can still see Solomon coming for the fact of we can wait until the last minute, because he already knows the team, he already knows the system, he already knows the club, he already knows the manager. So it's not like a last minute signing of somebody brand new. He's played for us for a year. So I just still see the possibility, because if he doesn't bowl Thomas Frank over, then they've got a decision to make, because he's only getting older. Imagine if he got injured. Like, all of these things will be going through Daniel Levy's head.
Yeah.
Of regardless. And I mean, you've seen he's just cutthroat for, cutthroat's sake half of the time. But if he can see the potential to make money on a signing that Thomas Frank isn't 100% sure about, he'll sell him. If Thomas Frank isn't sure that he can make that work, he'll sell him for the money right now. So I genuinely can still, I'm not saying the door's wide open, but it's propped open. Like, it's got a little door stop in there kind of thing.
I hear you. Yeah, you are. There probably is something in that. It'll be a case of we want to have a look at him, and then they'll make a decision on what he does. I don't mind him coming back at all, but as well, if he doesn't, I'm okay with it, because I think for me, wingers are 10 a penny, but they're everywhere, aren't they? I think all the young kids, when they grow up now, want to be inside forwards, want to be wingers, right? That's why there's no nines about. That's why there's, everyone wants to be a winger these days. A Messi, Ronaldo, bloody Salah, it's what everyone wants to be. So yeah, I'm chill about Solomon, I guess. What have you made to talk of potential outgoings? Obviously, Mateo Joseph. There's been a lot of chatter about. He splits opinions online. I went off private on Twitter the other day and made a little jibe. Within about 10 minutes, I went back on private. I was like, I can't handle the heat in the kitchen with these Twitter tacticos. But yeah, he's been saying some things. Wants more game time. He's probably not going to get it next season. Where do you stand on Mateo? Other potential outgoings, Greenwood, Gelhardt, JB.
They're gone.
Yeah,
they're gone. That's fine. And I wish them nothing but the best, especially Gelhardt. He was a crucial part in that season where we stayed up. So, I think we'll all forever remember the Norwich goal with the Rafinha assist, last minute to win the game. And the amazing pass for Strauch's header in at the Brighton to get the equalising goal at the last game of the season at Elland Road in that season when we stayed up. But yeah, they're gone. JB, Greenwood and Gelhardt. We clearly don't like G's. They're all gone, in my opinion. Joseph, it's a tricky one, because if we sell him, and he becomes a world beater, then we look like we've missed a trick. Yep. If we sell him and we get, between kind of 6 to 10 million for him, and he drops off a cliff, we look like we've done really good business. Obviously, you add on, I'm presuming there'll be sell-on clauses galore and stuff like that, and potential, add-ons, especially if he goes somewhere with the potential of European football and stuff like that. But how many of these young players don't actually, we were all gassing up Gelhardt, we were all gassing up Greenwood as been, the free kick specialist, and Gelhardt has been, kind of like the next Wayne Rooney type thing. Like there was loads of talk about that when he first came on the scene, and he's now probably maybe going to Hull or a low-end championship team. You know, you look at Tyler Roberts, he's in League One, lower League One. So all of these, you know, you can hold on and say, oh, well, we'll just loan him out because he's got that potential. What if the potential that we see never gets realized and we keep on loaning him out, and then actually we end up either he goes on a free or we get £5 million in 4 years' time anyway. And with the crap finances that, you know, FFP and PSR and all that jazz, you it's such a game of like poker type of thing of, do you risk it? Do you go all in? Do you bluff your way to get to the end, or do you fold and just say, nah, give me the money now, I'm cashing out type of thing?
I think as well, we have to and I'm trying to keep this chill because it's me and you, but some of the comments I'm dying to bite back at, but today's not the day for that. But I think as well we have to take into consideration PSR and all that, and what he would bring in now, and what that would equate to in terms of a player being able to spread their contract over 4 or 5 years with the money that he generates. But I think, Evie, if we're 3 seasons into Premier League and we're established, they loan him out because they can give him time.
Yeah.
But I think we need ready now, don't we? And that's what we didn't do last time for me. We bought a lot of youth and we bought a lot of like glamour Spain signings. You know, they're in international setups, but no steady eddies, if you like. No people that were, you know what, maybe not exciting, but they come in and they do a job. You know, like a Sean Longstaff, all the players we're being linked to, as opposed to, you know, going crazy for, oh, we signed this player and it don't work out. And then you're like, you know. So I think it's all about just being stable. I'd love us to keep Joseph. I think people have short memories of like how much we all backed him at the start of the season.
Yeah. Myself included.
I don't see what others are seeing. That's all. That's, you know, it's not an agenda. I just don't see what others are saying. And look, I'm gonna have to say this like some comments in that they don't get given time and stuff. It's incorrect because
it's not the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
the Premier League is an old league. When you look at the amount of players under the age of 23 that are established Premier League players are tiny. You know, like they're minuscule in terms of, whereas actually the majority of the players are 25 to 30. And you know, you look at Salah, Van Dijk, and players like that. You know, they go much older, but it's cutthroat. We have to, if we want to have that luxury of being able to loan youth out, you know, suck up all the youth like Chelsea and Man City do, we have to stay up there. So we have to buy for the here and now with a sprinkling of planning for the future. All we did last time was plan for the future. And other than Somerville, none of that youth worked out.
No.
Because I'm not counting Archie because of the fact he was ours. I'm talking about the youth that we bought in. Darko, JB, Greenwood, Geldhart. None of them, they're going, in the grand scheme of things, they're going to earn us pennies for you know, for what? You know, when actually we could have used that money, spread that cost over a few years, and got a player that is now an established, challenging Premier League player. Whereas we bought it all for the future and just hoped that it was the early 2000s and the 90s when players, you know, James Milner, for instance, you're not realistically going to get another James Milner ever again because the game is completely different. And the product of football is completely different than it was in the early 2000s as well. You know, it just that kind of one league player doesn't exist anymore.
No,
like it doesn't. You know, you look at Trent, for instance. You know, he wanted to live and die and breathe at Liverpool, and now he's in Spain. So I think that we need to. I think if we had a sell-on clause, we're probably going to make as much money as if we kept him he either rots on the bench or we loan him out and then he doesn't, we then sell him for £4 million in 5 years' time. Why not make more money now? And then the add-on will probably be worth the same amount as what we would get for him if we just continuously loan him out.
Yeah. Joe makes a good point. I do have a counter to that, though. He said, just to note, buying for the future saved us after we didn't go up. If we hadn't had Georgie, I would say that Georgie wasn't bought for the future, really. He was bought to bang right now. We paid 30-odd million for him, Joe. Creed,
I think it was about 28 million we paid for him because we didn't have to pay the add-ons because we got relegated.
Yeah, and Archie wasn't bought. He was an academy product, so I can give you Creed. But even still, I would say at that point as well, I would rather we stayed in the Premier League than had to drop out for 2 seasons. You know what I mean? So yes, I think it's important we still look at that. But I think what we can see from a transfer perspective, if we look at what the 49ers have done, they've done it in the terms of this is what we need now. You know, and once we're established, then I have they will start to do that, you know, and look to the future, etc. But it's exciting, isn't it? How you touched on Farke right at the start. I know I think you're like me. Like I desperately want him to do well because, like people say, you know, you've got favourites. You've got favourites in terms of players, etc. We all have, right? And Farke's one of them that I like as well. Like I really like him and want him to do well. So, how do you envisage it's going to go with him?
I think it is all recruitment.
Does he see the season out, Evie? Like this, I'm just hoping he does, man.
I hope he does because if he does, then we've been successful. This is what I don't understand is why people are so like he'll never make it. I want to think that my team's going to succeed. Yeah. So why would I not want the manager to be successful? That kind of logic just does not resonate with me. It really doesn't. I want Leeds to prove people wrong. I'm not saying it's going to be it's going to be easy. It will be hard, and there will be ugly games. You know, we saw ugly games even in the games that we won last season. There's going to be uglier games this season, and I hope that we start well. I think the first kind of 5 to 8 games will basically decide whether we're relegated or not, and I think. I hope that the trend starts to be booked this season, i.e. it's not just 3 up, 3 down, the exact same 3, because that's just boring and it makes for a boring product and the Premier League becomes stale and it becomes a very expensive farmers league if that's the case. You know, a very expensive one. You know, people take the mick out of the French league and say it's basically just PSG and, you know, a few other teams that used to be good years ago. But we don't want the Premier League to become like that, and it is becoming like that. You know, we want to go up there. We want, you know, I'm not saying, you know, I know that me and you have had a discussion before about Man U getting relegated and things. I mean, if Fernandez goes to Saudi, I know that's gone quiet, but you never know. These things can happen sometimes. You know, if you put a massive wad of cash in front of somebody's face and say you're going to get that tax-free in 2 years' time, so you might as well come over here. I think West Ham are in trouble. I think potentially Brentford are in trouble. Everton have to recruit right. I think they'll be fine because I think David Moyes is a very good stabilising manager. But I don't think it's going to be as easy for the rest of the league as it was for the last 2 seasons. And that's not just because we're back. I just genuinely think other teams have got worse. You know, West Ham scraped by, Tottenham scraped by, and they've got European football. And obviously, is it 8 teams or 9 teams?
8 teams, yeah. It's the most ever league have had in Europe, so
we have to exploit that as well. You know, their teams are going to be stretched, their teams are going to be knackered, their teams are going to be moaning every week that they have to play a game of football.
And that stretches their finances as well, like in terms of making sure their squad's big enough. There's players that potentially are upset because they're not playing as much. So I do think, I agree with you, you know, and I get why people say, you know, the last, I think it's 2 seasons, people have come straight up and gone back down. But must remember, like, the Forest are in Europe and they only beat us to relegation that season 2 seasons ago. You know, who
Well,
else?
they were 17th our first
Brentford.
season, you know.
Look at Brentford, you know.
Exactly. You know,
They
like
came up the season after us and now they're up there. So it can happen, you know.
yeah, it will be real. I definitely think this is a sliding doors moment for Brentford into like obviously we've seen Brighton change managers multiple times, but because of their program and because of the behind the scenes work, they have continued to be in and around that those European spots and definitely nowhere near the relegation conversation. Brentford, I don't know whether they're there yet. I hope they are because I like the fact that they're a smaller club. I like the fact that they're not just the churn type of Premier League club. You know, I like that they're a bit different and they seem to have a few morals left in them. But I do think that relegation mix is going to be stronger this year. I don't think it's just going to be the bottom 3 and then every other team is fine. I do think, you know, like the season we got, I think the season we got relegated up until obviously the infamous Crystal Palace game, there were 11, it was 11th to 20th that were still in that relegation. You know, anybody could stay up or anybody could go down. And it makes it, I know obviously we were on the wrong end of it, but if you're a neutral or just a general football fan, that's exciting. You know, the season that we stayed up, we had top 2. You know, the title went down to the final few minutes. The top 4 went down to the final few minutes. The top 6 did, and the relegation did. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think as well, I know you might disagree, but I don't expect Man United to be and Tottenham to be nowhere near as bad in the league. And I was listening to Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, and Simon Ricks from the Kaiser Chiefs made the point of like, normally them two would have taken an extra 20 odd points. And if they were to do what they're supposed to do and take that extra 20 odd points, where they're taking them from, they have to take them from the teams that were down, you know, them that might have done better this time. They lose points. So therefore it brings them closer to what the newly promoted teams would need to stay up. Do you know what I mean? So I think last season was an anomaly. I do think, you know, like a lot of people said like last season was poor, and so maybe we've got it at the right time. The fact that we have 8 or 9 teams in Europe, I think we have a good nucleus, and I do back the 49ers. So
Can I just ask you, and I'm not genuinely trying to just dig.
What
makes you think that Man U will be much better this season?
I think Amarin will bring in the players that will suit his style, and if it doesn't, if it goes anywhere like it was at the back end of the season, they'll just sack him and bring someone else in. They have too many good players to be finishing down there. They're going to get a new striker. I think Højlund's going to go over to Atalanta. I've seen him linked to.
Who do you think's a really good player though at Man U?
Bruno Fernandes.
But he's on the twilight side of his career. He is like, you know, he's what, 32?
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes. Kuna, although I don't think it'll go well.
No, I don't.
If they get Mbuemo, that's decent. Kobe Manu, Dorgu. Maguire's had some good times. I'm not sure. We'll have, but I get the Bruno thing. And Jack, you're saying Bruno is 30, but he was far and away their best player last season.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, he was.
He is brilliant, but he's a dick. But he is brilliant. I just think they'll be better. And you know, if they're anywhere like they were. I mean, and to be honest, Man United have got Arsenal first game. They've got a rock hard start.
Yeah.
So if after them 5 games they're poor, they'll just sack him. You know, I think they'll get a new keeper as well, and their keeper's dog dirt. Yeah, so I think they'll be better. And Thomas Frank for me is an exceptional coach. So I think
Tottenham.
Yeah.
I agree there. I do think Tottenham will be better. I really do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind placing.
I'm getting stick now. I was asked a question.
I just wouldn't mind placing a little bet with you because I think they'll be near the bottom again. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, but I do think they'll be in the conversation down there.
I think they'll get Europe.
Now, anybody can get Europe. You just have to win the right competition, as they did the season before. So how are they winning
in the league? I think they'll finish somewhere in the league, which gets them Europe.
Okay, I reckon they're going to end mid-table again.
Mid-table.
I think it's going to be like not as bad as obviously this season, but I think between 10th to 14th.
We'll see. There is something. Jamie, you're gonna have some sort of positivity, mate. I think you're gonna have some sort of positivity. I know you. Do you give us any chance whatsoever, Jamie? I'm interested to hear in the chat, mate. I do just want to respond to my good friend Thomas Smith. He's always having a go at me for wanting experienced players, but I'll tell you why this isn't a logical retort, because Mateo Joseph 21 and has had ample opportunities. Harry Gray's 16. What was Mateo Joseph doing that? And again, I'm not having a go, but my point is Harry Gray made his debut at 16. They're not the same. They're not the same. If at 21 Harry Gray has done the same or worse, then I would say okay, sell him. But I have an idea that he won't have, because at 16 he made his debut for Leeds United. So it's not the same. Okay, not ample, but he's had opportunities. Harry Gray's played one game, so it's an illogical statement for me, mate, or question. But yeah, anyway, mate, me and Evie think we can stay up. Probably would take 17th if you offered it us. But, we know it's going to be rock hard, right? We know it's going to be rock hard. I am, mate, but I'm not, because Evie's going to calm me down. Evie's going to calm me down, you see. Evie's going to keep me sweet. But, yeah, I think we both know it's going to be hard. And, I think it's... Do you know what I'm not looking forward to, Evie?
Go on, then.
Is Leeds going on losing runs and having to come on here.
Yeah.
Having to deal with the chat. Get him out. I'll be like, please.
One thing I would say is that, this sounds a bit toxic, but it's almost easier to talk about bad things than it is good things. There is always, and that's just a generic human thing. We always can talk about. That's why we talk about the weather so much in this country. There is always something to talk about when it comes to negativity. That's why negative news sells, negative podcast sells, everything negative, it sells, because you create a debate, you create something. When you're just like, oh, we were amazing there, weren't we? Yeah, we were good. How good were we? We were really good. And by the end of last season, we were so efficient at doing our job. We got annoyed by the same things and we liked the same things. We got annoyed at Farke's substitutions. We got annoyed that we didn't necessarily, until the last few games, just go for teams kind of thing. We didn't have Bristol, we didn't have Stokes, we didn't have those sort of games all season. So actually it's quite, I don't know, there'll be more to talk about with. I'm not saying I want us to go on losing runs. I'm just thinking we will lose clearly more games this season than we did last year, because we lost 4 games all season. So I think even if you are the most positive person on the planet, you can say that we're at least going to double that, if not triple the amount of losses, if not more, kind of thing. I'm hoping it's not more, but we have to
wins.
have a smattering of losses to make it interesting.
10 wins gets us 30 points. I'd like us to get, I don't know, 10 wins and see where we're at. Because if you throw some draws in there as well, you know, I think 30. I don't know what the points difference. People might tell me wrong, but I just think because I think the league will level out next year, so we won't need, you know, massive. I don't think the 40 points figure's a thing. I'm going to ask Grock.
If the league levels out, then maybe we will need more because more people will be in that conversation. Like when we went down, how many points do we have? Do we have 31 points? And obviously Everton only had mid-30s themselves because they could have gone down. So you are talking, you know, 38 plus is probably what will keep you up if the league reverts back to being more normal.
Having a look here, the highest, so this is over the last 10 seasons. I've just asked Grock. The highest was 36. The lowest was 29. I mean, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? But Forest stayed up 23-24 with 32. So 34.6 points is your average over that, 35 points. So 10 wins. Let's see where we're at. People say it's unrealistic. Is it? I don't know then. So how many? Oh, Tottenham and Man United only got 11. Yeah, but they were rubbish, right? This is the point. So is 10 wins too much then for me to ask? Is it? Do you think, Evie? 10 wins?
I mean, what does that? That's almost a quarter of your games. Isn't it? If you think about it, 38 games. So that's almost a quarter of the games. I would probably say 9 wins and a dozen plus draws probably sees you safe.
I've just asked it. How many wins did them teams in 17th get that season? The most was 11. The lowest was, I mean, Fulham got 5 that season when they needed 29 points. Imagine that. We could do that, but I don't think it's going to be nowhere near as... that's the season we went up as well, by the way. Yeah, when we finished 9th. But it's I'll tell you what the average, 8.7 wins. So about 9 wins. 9 wins on average keeps you up. And yeah, around about 35 points. So if we can aim for, I don't know, 9 wins then, 9 wins.
Yeah. 9 wins and you add in, you know, a load of draws and then you're probably okay. And as long as your losses aren't 4s, 5s, 6s and 7s like we've had in the past, which I don't honestly see under Farke. I really don't. I think he slams the doors shut. If we start badly, I think we close the doors and we won't be like a Bielsa type or Jesse, you know, who full on went on the blinkers when it was like, oh yeah, all you have to do is, you know, you concede the same goal over and over again. No, I don't see that. Oh, I don't see that.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We did. But yeah, I don't think we need that many wins. I think the draw, you know how last year, obviously we got 4 losses, but the majority of those losses we kind of were okay with. It was the draws that killed us. The Sunderland, the Hull, the Swansea, the oh my gosh, first game of the season.
Portsmouth won it.
Portsmouth, yeah. So those were actually more detrimental. Like we got more angry over those draws where we still gained a point than we did over the losses to Millwall, Portsmouth, Burnley, and who was the other loss?
Blackburn, was it? Did we lose to
Blackburn? Yeah, we did 1-0. Yeah, 1-0.
But I think as well, if we go back to the fixtures, right? So I get why, like, say 9 wins now. This is why for me it's important to get off to a great start. Let's say, for example, we were to get two wins in this first 5, though, right? You beat Everton on the opening day at Elland Road, and you know, The other two are away, though. Fulham and Wolves won't be easy, but you could easily get, if you get 2 wins, you're off. 2-3 wins in the, I don't know how many games, 7 games or whatever. It's not a bad start, Evie. As long as I'm gonna be genuinely counting down to 10 wins. I think that's going to be my thing throughout the season. Just knock them up. Right, there's another win. I think if we get 10 wins, we stay up with the draws as well. But we'll see. But you need to beat Everton. You need to beat Wolves. You should be competitive against Fulham. You never know.
Yeah, because they could be. Fulham are an odd team, and I suppose that's what literally sums them up as a mid-table team, because of the fact that they can go toe-to-toe with the best and then absolutely kind of shit the bed to
that's not
teams
a bad final 5 as well. If we're searching
I'm actually more excited for the final 5 than I am for the first 5, because I think I'm hoping that we don't, but if we have something that we need to get, we can get them out of those 5.
Exactly.
Like I
got
genuinely,
Brighton and Burnley at home, haven't you? Which if you're needing a win, it'll be massive. The crowd and everything. Tottenham might have switched off by then. They might still be in Europe. You've got to factor all these elements in.
Plus, they've got to remember that they're not allowed to win another European trophy because it gets you sacked. So
that's a good point. I did want to ask you, just before we finish up, I know your favourite player, Dan James. Yeah,
yes.
Big season for him, because obviously I think everyone outside of Leeds, like when I've done other shows, they're like, oh, you need to upgrade on James, because they remember the old James. He's definitely improved under Farke. Do you expect him to hit the ground running in the Premier League? We're probably not going to have a lot of the ball, so he's going to be great in transition, great on the counter, and he has improved in his finishing. Still a bit shaky, but he's much better in that area than he was before. So
yeah, he's far more composed than he was under Bielsa, because obviously he was playing as a number 9, which he just isn't. Regardless how much his finishing has improved, he still isn't positionally a number 9. So he can't hold up the ball in the same way that you need a number 9 to hold up the ball. He can get others into play, but he gets others into play via the wing and cutting in, or doing good crosses from the byline. So I think James will have a huge part. Now, that's not necessarily saying I love him, but even I know that he may not be a starter in the Prem, but I still think he can be a super sub. I would still love to see him given those starting minutes, but I also don't think if he starts and doesn't start well, or like as in physically starting a game and doesn't start well, I still don't think that is the worst thing, because I think he will still come on and make a difference, because no matter what league you're in, you get tired. And coming on against Dan James, who can run for days, he's still something to be concerned about. And as well, especially under Farke, like you say, his accuracy has improved. His shooting boots. He's got so many assists. I think he will thrive in the Premier League, because I think he's earned it, and it's not just been handed to him on a plate. I think a lot of players, and I'm going to get a little soapbox here, I think a lot of players believe that they are better than they are, and therefore, you see it a lot at Manchester United. You see it that players think that because they are at a certain team, they deserve to be playing. Whereas Dan James has had to be passed from pillar to post, not be used, be loaned out, then be relegated. So I think he's really fought for everything that he's got. So I think he will have something to prove, because he didn't get a fair crack. He didn't get a fair crack at Leeds. He didn't get a fair crack at Man U. He didn't get a fair crack at Fulham. He hasn't had that opportunity under a very good manager, because obviously he was under Bielsa, but wasn't playing in his preferred position. I'd love to see Dan James now play under Bielsa. I really would, because I think yeah, it would have just been an absolute perfect marriage in my opinion, because he's got such a good work ethic as well. And I think that when the chips are down, I want Dan James there, because he doesn't, his head doesn't go, him and Rodon were the only players in that playoff final that could walk away with any sort of kind of hold their heads up high. I mean, he literally bled and got a permanent scar for us. So yeah, I love him. Volume.
Better?
There we go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine as well. I was saying before, there's only like 5 players, I think, that I would say are guaranteed in my setup anyway. And it was Bogle, Rodon, Ampadu, Tanaka, and James. The rest, I think the positions are up for grabs, to be honest. So
yeah,
I'm more than happy with him. So we'll see how he gets on. But Evie will.
Can I just quickly say
yeah,
something? I think people need to be a little bit realistic as well, because we can't just get rid of everybody.
No,
there's so many people that are like, oh, they won't make the jump up. They won't. We still need a squad, because regardless, you stay up in a league because of a squad. We almost got relegated in 21-22 because we didn't have a squad. And then we got relegated in the 22-23 season because we didn't have a squad. So I think that people need to realize we can't just buy everybody. It's just not going to work. We can't do it for PSR reasons. We can't do it because you've got to gel everybody together, and you're going to potentially cause a load of upheaval, which then it ruins the dynamic of something that we've built for 2 years. But I think that we need to understand that we need a squad, and even players that we get frustrated with will have something to do this season. We will have to use subs more. And like that will be a test of Farke, because he has to. In the championship, we were much better than 99% of the rest of the league. We're not in the Premier League, so he has to use the bench.
No, you bang on. He maybe even has to change it tactically. And if he doesn't, like I say, he won't be around for long. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, won't we? But Evie, I want to thank you so much for coming on and giving me your Sunday afternoon/evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries, man. Always. I know the chat are absolutely buzzing to see you back as well. Folks, go on over and check out Discourse of the Peacock with Eva. Someone, I think Oliver or someone will put it in the chat for me. Said I'm watching 20 minutes behind, but suggesting we'll be back in the bottom half is rivalry copium. He's saying eBay. Yeah,
that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. You're right, Jamie. There isn't, mate. It's been really quiet since Friday, and I think Leeds are just waiting to announce be all hopefully on Monday, and then we'll start to see some more credible links again. Still a lot of work to do, and the season or the backing on 7th of July. So it's only 2-3 weeks, is it now? That it will be, won't it? Yeah. Big up for that Noah Games. He thinks we'll stay up. Danny has put the chat in there as well. So Discourse of a Peacock, folks, make sure you go on over and subscribe to Evie's channel. Thank you for watching this. Damar, I can promise you, I do not watch that shy. I swear to God, I don't.
I used to.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering Love Island watcher.
Oh, really? Yeah. I used to watch like reality TV back in the day, but not, I think it was an age thing. I got to an age where I was like, or it became more performative and it weren't real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could tell it weren't real anymore. They were just engineering situations.
I mean, I'm not a smoker and I don't like smoking, but it did all change when they got rid of smoking on TV. Yeah, because they don't have those same chats anymore. Yeah, of course. They have those chats because they're not allowed to show it on TV anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, man. I got what did I get called yesterday? You vape puffing freak.
Wow.
By some guy on Twitter, but what made me laugh is I thought, you've said that because of my opinion on a player, but you clearly watch.
Exactly.
So how do you know I'm a vape puffing freak? What did he say? He went, sort out your shit channel, you vape puffing freak. I thought, that is brilliant. But yeah.
At least you get the clicks up, people,
exactly.
People are watching.
He's probably watching now.
Hate you,
He's probably watching now. Yes, folks, listen, smash me a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit the notification bell and all that jazz, and we'll see you in a bit. Joe, the king of 90-day fiance. What does that mean? What does he mean by that?
Fiance?
Fion? Or does he mean finance?
I know, I can't figure out
What does
whether
he
it's
mean,
finance or
90-day
fiance.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means, Thomas. You're making a lot of wild claims today, bro. He said we should sign Gary Neville the other day as well.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. Geez, just not wind up. 90-day fiance. Oh, it's the reality show, see?
Of course, Jay knows that.
Yeah, of course he does, man. Jay applied to be on it, man. He said, do you need a Chris Pratt lookalike, didn't he? Yeah, listen, folks, as well, must remember the Content Creator Cup is on in less than a month now. Evie's going to be commentating on the event. I'll be playing in the event with my team, and obviously we'll actually be up against Jay and his merry bunch. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. So please do join us for that. And I know I'm joking, bro. I know, Thomas. It's all love, man. Thanks everyone for watching, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye bye now.